What's going on, guys? Back at it again with another video for Money May, and this one's going to be all about how to budget your monthly income. And without any further ado, let's jump right in. So the first things first, what I wanted to discuss with you guys is wants and needs. That's a very important part of budgeting. I know this seems kind of elementary, but it is actually a really important part that not a lot of people talk about. We're taught it young, but it's not really touched back on after, we grow up. So I kind of want to describe it here for you. So a want is a desire for something. And a lot of the times when I'm budgeting, I like to ask myself, can it wait? Can whatever I want to purchase or whatever I want to do wait? Or is it a need? A need is something you require because it is essential or very, very important. And I like to ask myself when I'm trying to determine what a want is versus what a need is will I die without it? And I know that seems kind of extreme, but sometimes extreme is exactly what you need in order to reach your required goal or budget. It's a lot of discipline. And a lot of people lack discipline. So going forward, whenever you're trying to budget your monthly income, you have to realize exactly what it is. Is it a want or is it a need? There's not a lot of gray area in between. Will I die without it? Can it wait for me to buy it? Or can it wait for me to do? And that kind of sums up kind of what a want and a need is. So let's just go ahead and move on to the next one. Your income. Your income is a very important part of budgeting. Now, your income is going to be money you receive, especially on a regular basis for work or through investments. You got jobs that make you money, assets that make you money, or businesses that make you money. All of that is considered income. And it is a vital factor whenever you are budgeting. You have to know your income. Because how are you going to budget your monthly income if you don't even know what your income is? Now, after you have done some data or work or summed up your assets and your jobs and your monthly income from your businesses and whatnot, you come up to your expenses. Now, your expenses could be anything in the entire world. It's basically just money you spend. So some of the most important things that are required, I call them mandatory expenses. And a mandatory expense is something you have to buy. So this is things such as like rent or your mortgage or food, water, utilities for your home, your car if you have one. And not only do you have to pay for your car, you have to pay for your insurance and your gas. And the laws require that you have to have those specific things. So in turn, they are mandatory expenses. You have to buy them. Now that we know what a want and a need is, your income and your expenses, you know each of them. Move on to percentages. How much of each should you spend on? So some people, not going to name names, but some people say that you're supposed to save 70% of all you earn and then live on 30% of what you have. Now, I don't know about y'all, but saving 70% of my money is impossible. I have so many expenses that I have to take on that living within just 30% of my income is not within my means. So I want to suggest to you kind of the common sense way or the way that I do it. Number one is going to be your mandatory expenses. You have to take care of those. Those are going to, like I said earlier, going to be your house, your rent, your food, your water, your utilities, whatever. After all of those are taken care of, that is now my income. So before all of my bills are paid, I don't have any money in my mind. I then pay all my mandatory expenses, and whatever I have left of that is called your disposable income. Now, I live off of that, and I budget that disposable income. So I like to divide that disposable income into three parts: your savings, your emergency fund, and then your wants, which is like your clothes and shoes or whatever. The reason I include the emergency fund in there over $1,000 is because life happens. There are going to be problems that we run into that are unexpected. Somebody hits your car and you really need your car to go do something, a week from now, but you won't have it because you don't have enough money to fix it or your insurance doesn't cover it. So this is why I want to add specific emphasis on the emergency fund, because really anything can happen. And having that extra backup money to fall on will never not help you. Now, I like to have my emergency fund around $2,000 roughly, just because life is expensive. But I understand that sometimes that's not the case and that can't happen. So even just $1,000 is a good emergency fund to fall back on. Now, once you have your emergency funds allocated, then we move on to the savings and our wants. I like to keep my wants very minimal. I try to live lower than my means so I have enough income left over to take care of my wants. So the way that I would specifically divide up my disposable income into percentages is I would probably save the majority of it until I have that emergency fund built. Probably say 60% of that disposable income, 20% into savings, and then 20% to your wants until your emergency fund is built up, and then you can start allocating different percentages into more savings or more wants. That's just how I believe that your income should be budgeted based off of my experiences in life and how crappy and good it can get. But alright, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments below. That's going to do it all for us. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see y'all later.